All right, what's going on, guys? Simple Sports back again. So I said I wasn't going to record anymore this week, but you know what? I am. So here I am. I got some stuff to talk about. So obviously a Super Bowl week, but I don't want to talk a whole lot about football. I do want to touch on the Kirk Cousins, Alex Smith whole deal with that trade. But mostly I'm going to talk about NBA today, but I will knock that out of the way first just to get it over with. Like I said, this is mostly a basketball subject. I haven't talked about the NBA in a while, and obviously as said on this channel and throughout this whole ordeal, I'm going to be talking about NBA, NFL, and college football. Well, obviously college football season is over with, aside from things like the draft coming up in a couple months and all that good stuff, but by and large college football is over with, nothing to discuss there. NFL is about to be done and over with, so it's time to get deep into the NBA, and it's perfect that it plays out this way because it for me anyway, for the sports that I like and want to talk about, it's a perfect scenario because I get to talk about the NFL once the NBA season is over with. We start getting into draft and OTAs and the offseason moves and all that good stuff in the NFL, heading into college over the summer, and then right as football season ends, as it's about to with the Super Bowl on Sunday, get to do the aftermath of all that stuff, but you get to focus on the meat of the NBA season, which is post All-Star break heading into the playoffs. So I'm going to spend the day or this episode talking about that, but first let me talk about Kirk Cousins and Alex Smith and what I think about that whole trade. Now, for those of you who know me, have listened to me, I have said since the beginning of this year, they should have started Mahomes this year. Now, obviously, that wasn't going to happen, and I understand that. I'm no dummy. I'm just saying, in theory, I think they should have just started Mahomes. But obviously, that wasn't possible. Well, it was possible, but, you know, it wasn't feasible. He's a rookie. You got a vet in Alex Smith. You got to have elite. You can't just yank the guy for essentially no reason. You have to, you know, have some sort of precedence and reason for doing so. But I have never been sold on Alex Smith. Alex Smith to me is much like Matt Ryan. He's much like Phillip Rivers. Maybe aside from the 2 Super Bowls, you can throw Eli Manning in there. A lot of quarterbacks could fall into that category. I don't know. Andy Dalton, Joe Flacco, guys like that. My point being, none of them are superstars. None of them are elite. There's about, if you were to ask me personally, there's 3 elite quarterbacks in the NFL currently. There's Drew Brees, Tom Brady, and Aaron Rodgers. And off the top of my head, I don't think I'm missing anyone. I think that's your tier 1. You have tier 2, which is probably, call it 20 to 25 other quarterbacks. And then for me, there's a handful of them that I just think, why even waste your time? But I'm not going to list those people. I don't want to offend anyone. So in any event, Alex Smith to me is not that guy. I don't see how you, unless you have a legitimate beast of a team, maybe like the Eagles, someone like the Vikings, something like that, where a lot of the other parts of the team can take care of itself. You really just don't have to screw it up. And I'm not saying Alex Smith screwed up the Chiefs this year, but my point being, if you were towing the line, I don't think he's the one that's going to push you over the line. Just me. And so the Chiefs traded him to the Redskins. And for me, for the Redskins, I think it's a lateral move. They got essentially the same guy in Kirk Cousins, but older. And for the Redskins, I don't get it. But, hey, you do what you do. That's why the Redskins are who they are. They haven't had a quarterback in a while. Kirk Cousins, I believe, is a pretty underrated quarterback. I think he may be a step above Alex Smith, like a 1A and 1B, you know, something like that. I do think he's better than Smith, but I don't think he is that much better than Smith that it makes you so much better. That's just my opinion. But so for the Redskins, I don't get it as far as that goes, as far as the talent portion of it goes. Now, I get it in terms, and I mean, they gave the guy a contract immediately, which obviously is to be expected. But I just don't understand why you make a lateral move to then you make a lateral move, but it's essentially a worse move because you have a guy that's older. So I don't get it from that perspective. And I've never been sold on Alex Smith, never have been, never will be. He's just a guy to me. And most teams have just a guy. Marcus Mariota, to me, it falls into that category. So it's not me hating on the Chiefs or hating on Alex Smith or anything. I like to stay objective about what I talk about and what I believe in. And Mariota's definitely hasn't proven to be elite. I think he's a solid quarterback. I think they're all solid quarterbacks. I just don't think any of them are on that level. And granted, in today's game, you may not necessarily need someone of that caliber, but it definitely helps. And to ease my mind, I definitely would prefer, obviously, a Tom Brady or a Drew Brees or someone like that. If you're going to classify them as far as guys that you can put on your team that are going to get you over the hump, those three are the only ones for me. I think you can put any of those three quarterbacks on, hypothetically, on any team, all things being equal, and you'll have success. Alex Smith, listen, they gave up a 18-point lead to the Titans. And, I mean, obviously I'm a Titans fan, but the Titans weren't world beaters this year. And Tom Brady doesn't lose an 18-point lead. Drew Brees is not going to lose an 18-point lead, and not in the playoffs. It's just, I don't see that happening, especially not this stage in their careers. They're too good. They're too wise. They're too seasoned to let something like that happen. And they're too smart, too advanced to give up an 18-point lead to what everyone considered a worst team in Tennessee. So, Alex Smith, I don't get it. Now, Kirk Cousins is about to get paid. I don't know where he's going. If I had to pick a place for him, I'd say Denver. Or, if you really want to be bold, how about Minnesota? You got 3 quarterbacks on that roster, and you don't know which one you're going to go with. And you got a young guy in Teddy Bridgewater who's believed to be the guy. But they're going to battle it out with Case Keenum. The belief is Sam Bradford's going to be the one to go, at least first. I don't think they're going to be able to keep both Case and Teddy Bridgewater on the roster. I think they're going to have to make a decision with one or the other. And I think they're going to go with Bridgewater, but we'll see how that plays out next year. But why not trade him? Trade him and get better and go sign Kirk Cousins. I don't know. Just throwing it out there, one of those things. There's a lot of teams that he could go to that need a quarterback, Denver being one. I think Minnesota would be a great fit personally. You got a solid team around him, which is something that he hasn't had. You got solid coaching. You got a great defense. You got a running game with a brand new, going to be fresh. I mean, we'll see how he handles the injury, but Dalvin Cook will be back next year. You got McKinnon and Murray there. They could shoulder the load as well, or one of them could be gone. I don't know how that'll play out, but why not Minnesota? I don't know if anyone's mentioned that or even thought about that, but just a thought. There's a couple teams out there. Miami could be a possibility. I don't know how that's going to play out with Jay Cutler. I don't know. I don't remember what deal he signed or if that's, if they're going to bring him back next year. I think they are, but if not, maybe Miami's a possibility. I mean, there's a couple of teams out there that make sense just on the surface anyway. Maybe not once you dig into the details, but on the surface, I think those teams make sense. Cleveland's another option, although I don't see that happening. Buffalo, again, I don't see it happening, but as far as teams that could need a quarterback, Buffalo's one. Even Chicago, I'm not sold on Trubisky at all, but they're going to give him more time, at least another year to see how that works out. But hypothetically, Chicago, like I said, Miami could be a possibility. Arizona could be a possibility. The Jets, although I don't think that's one that will pan out because that they're a mess right now. There's a couple of teams, again, hypothetically on the surface that I think could work. Realistically, I think Denver. Minnesota is an intriguing one for me, just because of their situation at quarterback. So who knows how that's going to play out? But as I said, I think if you were to ask me who I would prefer out of the two, definitely Kirk Cousins. Mostly because of age, and I think Kirk is a little underrated considering the team he had around him. The age-old question: if you switch the two teams, would they be any better? I don't know. Maybe they'd be right along the same, but to me, my eye tells me Kirk Cousins is better. The numbers may not speak so much, but it's all circumstantial. You can't get blinded by statistics. The Redskins as a whole were not nearly as good of a team top to bottom as the Chiefs were. And the Chiefs even had some missing pieces, some key missing pieces in that playoff game. Eric Berry's gone. Travis Kelce's gone. So for me, Kirk Cousins over Alex Smith, I don't even think it's close. But, well, it's close, but the decision for me would not be close. So that's all I have to say about that. I didn't see it coming for sure. I don't know if anyone did. Obviously, I know that some insiders probably had some details and knowledge about it. But as far as being a fan, this one totally came out of left field from me. I thought they would go into the season with Alex Smith and screw it up and then try to put Mahomes in maybe mid-season, week 5, 6, something like that. But evidently they got tired of it, which I don't blame them. Like I said and I tweeted out the first game when they played the Patriots, even after they won. I was like, I don't know why we were going through this song and dance all over again. Get rid of Alex Smith. Let's move on to Patrick Mahomes. I think Mahomes, out of that draft class last year, is going to be the best one to me. My eye tells me he can make all the throws, and he is dynamic. He has a phenomenal arm. I don't know where his head is. I obviously haven't met the guy or anything like that. But just watching the film and things of that nature, I think he's going to be a really good quarterback. I don't know if he's going to be on that level as far as an elite quarterback, but definitely one of the better ones in the league, top 5 to 10, over the next couple of years of his career. That's where I see him. But we'll see how it plays out. You never know with these rookies how things like that are going to shake up. But I do think he's in a good situation with a good team and a good coach. Albeit Andy Reid is a little questionable at times with what he does, but I think by and large he's one of the better coaches in the league. So I think Mahomes will do fine. I think Alex Smith just got sent off to purgatory in Washington. They gave him all that money, and there's really not a lot there to work with. The cupboard's a little bare. So we'll see. I think he's going to disappear into the fog. I think Kirk Cousins will do fine wherever he lands, especially if he lands on one of those two teams I mentioned, Denver or Minnesota, but we'll see how that shakes up. So I just wanted to put that out there really quick before I get to talking about what I'm here for, which is the NBA. So last night, James Harden had the 60-point triple-double. I believe it was 60, 10, and 13 rebounds and assists, respectively. And here's the thing, man. I never want to take away someone's accomplishments. Like, he did something I couldn't even dream of doing. Okay, I'd be lucky to score 6 points in the game. So I don't want to make it seem like that. But my thing is, man, I've seen this song and dance before with James Harden. Maybe not to that level, but my point is, am I shocked that he had a 60-point triple-double? Not necessarily. He's had triple-doubles before. He's put up great stat lines before, and I know he's capable of scoring 50 to 60 points on a given night. Maybe, obviously, not on a regular basis. I don't think many people can do it every night, but if you would have asked me to list 5 to 10 players who I thought could drop 60 points, he'd be in that list. Steph Curry, KD, LeBron, guys like he's in that list. So am I shocked by it? No. I'm done with James Harden until playoff time. I don't want to hear about it. I don't care. What does he do in the playoffs? Because in the past, it's not been good. He's shown up small in some cases. Last year, he looked like he looked like a G League player last year in that last elimination game. So I'm not awestruck by it. I think it's a phenomenal accomplishment. As I said, I don't want to take anything away from the actual feat that he accomplished. It was amazing, and it was amazing to watch as well. I love it. For me, I don't get blinded along the way to the destination, right? I want to get from point A to point B, and point B is the finals, and I don't think he's getting there. Now, do I think he's going to come up small like he did last year? I mean, that's to be determined. It wasn't the first time, so I wouldn't be shocked if he did. I don't foresee that happening. I think he's got a little more experience on his belt. Things are hardened a little bit, no pun intended. But you got two guys with him and Chris Paul who can't seem to get it done. And for whatever reason, that seems to be the case. I don't think it's going to be any different this year. I just think for this year, it's going to be more of Golden State or whoever they happen to match up with. I think it's going to be Golden State at some point. But I don't think it'll be so much because he'll come up small. I think it's just more this year that Golden State just looks unbeatable by anybody. So I'm not that blown away, but I'm blown away by the stat line and the performance. I'm not going to let it cloud what I think needs to happen in the playoffs, I guess is what I'm trying to get at. So nothing too crazy from me. Hats off to James Harden. Like I said, I'd be lucky to score 5 or 6 points in the game, much less 60. And he accounted for 90-plus points total, and they only scored 114. So, I mean, again, it is a it is an all-time great performance in the history of great performances in really any sport. I mean, that is a phenomenal game that he had last night. It was a great game to watch, too. It came down to the wire. I'm not going to let it cloud my judgment in terms of what I expect to see in the postseason from the Rockets. So with that said, I'm going to leave that one there and move on to the Cavs, because let me tell you, man, I get so sick and tired of people being apologists and defenders of the Cavs and LeBron James and all this stuff that's going on as if they aren't problems. People need to start being real with themselves, okay? And I understand these people are LeBron fans and Cavaliers fans and all that good stuff. I get all of that. Don't lie to yourself, okay? The Cavs have some real problems, okay? And I'm listening to Nick Wright today talk about how he thinks that anyone that believes the Cavs aren't going to the finals are wrong. Listen, man, they have some issues that they need to work out, okay? Some real issues. Kevin Love is out now for, I think, 5 to 6 weeks with the broken hand. IT is causing all kinds of problems. The team can't play a lick of defense. And everyone seems to want to just – it's like – it reminds me of that GIF with the little dog sitting in the fire and just saying, this is fine. That's what it seems like to me. And it's like people are so hell-bent on – being correct about LeBron James being this phenomenal player, and the Cavs are going to sweep their way to the finals all over again, just like they did last year, just because that's what they've done for the last 3 years. It doesn't matter. Those series, the last 3 years have zero effect on this year in terms of what's going to happen. Now, it could have an effect mentally towards other teams. You could say that if you want to. You can make that argument, sure. The Cavs are not fine, okay? I'm sorry, Nick Wright. I hope you someday somehow listen to this. They're not fine, okay? They're not. They have major problems, and you want to ignore them because you're a LeBron James apologist, okay? And you really are. You have to be real with yourself, okay? The Cavs play zero defense. They have all kinds of chemistry issues, offensively and defensively. And you seem to think that despite all of these problems, when the playoff comes, they're just going to flip the switch and all will be well. They'll sweep their way to the finals, and that'll be that. No, okay? No. Stop being so blind by your fandom that you can't be objective. That's all that I ask. And obviously you don't have to listen to me, but, like, is that too much? Like, they have issues. It's okay to acknowledge them, and he wants to simply ignore them and pass them off as if nothing's happening. IT is going mad. Kevin Love is hurt. The team is breaking down. D-Wade is going to have to play more minutes, which is not what they needed him to do. They needed him to be as fresh as possible heading into the playoffs, which would have been great. Now he's going to have to play more minutes as a whole just because of the sheer numbers of the team. It makes no sense to me for all these people to just set aside the fact that they are going through so many issues, specifically defensively. It's going to cause problems, okay? And, you know, I don't think they're going to make any big moves between now and the trade deadline. I don't foresee any happening. Again, I'm not an insider, so that's purely, you know, speculation. But from what I've read, from what I've seen, any move that they make is really is just a lateral move. It's not going to put them over the top of Golden State. I don't think it's going to put them over the top of all the teams in the East. I struggle with the fact that they're going to make it out of the East. And again, Nick Wright this morning saying that most people still believe that they're going to make it out of the East. First of all, I don't think that's the case, okay? I don't think most people do. Now, if you want to look at actual percentages, maybe there is actually more than 50% of the public that believe that they'll make it out of the East. But setting that actual number aside, I don't think most people believe that. I don't think that they will make it out of the East. The way they're playing right now, they'd be lucky to make it out of the first or second round, depending on who their matchup is. I mean, they could slide. And I don't think they'll slide all the way to 8th, but they could definitely slide to 5th or 6th. And it's very possible. And, you know, at that point, who knows what could happen. I think Boston is going to put them out. I don't think – I will give them that much credit. I don't think there's any other team other than Boston that could beat them. But I think currently constructed, Boston could beat them. Now – everyone wants to talk about Jason Tatum and Brown hitting the wall and all that good stuff and yada, yada, yada. And to me, what it is it reminds me of, I don't know, someone trying to cover up their mistakes, and it just so happens that certain things may coincidentally land in a way that makes sense to explain their side of the equation. And they're like, see, I told you. No, okay? The Celtics play great defense, and the Cavs have extreme issues, not as much offensively, but they definitely have some chemistry issues. And Isaiah Thomas, listen, man, I'm not one to question a professional's talent by any means, but objectively and strictly from, I guess, a fan's, as much as a fan could give any analysis on a professional, it's just not working. I don't know if they can trade him or what the case may be, but if he's on that roster after the trade deadline and that roster is the same, that's just not going to work. And people want to, again, the excuse of him not being healthy and he's got to find his rhythm and all this other stuff. I'm not a big excuse person, okay? I just don't buy excuses. I don't believe in excuses. And you could say all you want that he needs to get his legs under him, and rightfully so, and I don't disagree with that. I mean, he definitely does. He hasn't played in a while. He's on a brand new team, no OTAs. Well, I guess not OTAs, but no training camps, no practice. They don't practice as much. The team's older. All of these things are not good. They don't point to the Cavs making it out of the East, okay? And now you got guys calling people out in team meetings and having shouting matches, and now it's not good. And this belief that, well, this is what they do, so they'll be fine in the playoffs. No, this is different, okay? It smells different. It looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, and you know what they say, okay? The Cavs are in trouble. They are. And for those of you out there who want to simply ignore that, you know, all this wishful thinking that things are going to magically turn around in the playoffs, they're not. They're just not, okay? LeBron is great. He ain't carrying that team to the finals playing like this. I don't care how well he plays. He's not doing it. This team is not good right now. They're just not. They're not playing well. They're not playing for each other. They're not playing with each other. They're simply playing basketball, and they're getting smoked by teams that they shouldn't get beat by. Detroit beat them without the – so think about this. They traded all the guys that they did for Blake Griffin, and then Blake Griffin doesn't even play, and they got smacked by the Pistons. They go out and win 2 straight games, and all of a sudden everyone breathes a sigh of relief as if all their problems have gone away, and no, they haven't, okay? Stop. You know, it's – until you take the garbage out, it's going to stink, okay? It is. You can't cover it up but so much. And I don't know why people, again, and maybe it's just the fans in the fandom in those people where they don't want to admit that someone that they're a fan of or a team that they're a fan of is actually in trouble. And I totally get that. I mean, listen, I actually gave the Titans I tried to come up with a reason or a way that the Titans would beat the Patriots in the playoffs. I knew for a fact, I'd say 99.9% of me said that the Patriots were going to win that game, and pretty handedly. But as the fan in me wanted my Titans to win, so I tried to come up with a reason and an excuse and a validation for them winning that game, and it wasn't going to happen. The Cavs are in that situation now, and a lot of people don't want to acknowledge that they're in trouble. And so rather than do that, they'll apologize for the Cavs' trouble or come up with all these different excuses. Well, it was Kevin Love's fault at first. A lot of people wanted to blame Kevin Love, and then people want to blame IT, and then they want to blame J.R. Smith, and they want to blame Tristan Thompson. LeBron James is on that team too, and you should probably give him some blame as well. Some of you LeBron James apologists, okay? Nick Wright and Shannon Sharp. Listen, the Cavs aren't good right now. They're the 3rd seed in the East. And I know the seed, number 1 seed doesn't necessarily matter in terms of who's going to go to the finals. But, it's just, you can't be this bad and then all of a sudden expect to flip it. Like, even last year, they started playing better at the very, very tail end of the season. Now, they lost something. They were like below 500 over their last 40 games or something like that, if I remember correctly. So it wasn't like they were playing phenomenal, but they were playing better than this. And this idea that, every January LeBron creates some drama to start. Listen, man, the Cavs stink right now, okay? They do. And all this hoopla and all these excuses about them creating drama to psych themselves up and to get the front office to make some moves and all those things. I get it. And that very well may be true as far as them strategically doing some things to move and budge the needle on the front office. But this idea that all of these problems are simply going to go away and they're going to sweep their way to the finals again this year, no, okay? Stop ignoring what you see in front of you, okay? It is real. The Cavs have problems. And a lot of them start with LeBron James. And it's fine. It's time that someone calls him out on it. It's not all sunshine and rainbows in Cleveland. And for people to ignore that, I think it's very, very ignorant and dismissive of them to do so. No one seems to think a single team in the East can beat them. And I think that there's only one team that can beat them. But everyone wants to say that, they're not that good. They're overrated. So, it's funny to me how the Cavs had a slide. The Cavs are still sliding. And everyone's like, no, it'll be okay. We've seen this before. And the Celtics had a little slide. And it's like, no, well, you see, they were overrated. We knew they were overrated all year. I don't understand how that dynamic works, okay? Someone explain that to me. How you can have two teams who essentially, by and large, at least record-wise, and especially as of late, have had a similar path where one team started out great and have kind of leveled off as of late, and one team started off terribly, had a great run, and now have regressed again to playing bad basketball. Yet, somehow, with not too dissimilar records, one team is super overrated and the other team is going to be just fine. And I get that the X factor in both of those equations is LeBron James, but LeBron James is not going to make up this much garbage that they're putting out, okay? He's not going to be able to erase this much mediocrity from this team when the playoffs come. He's in year 15, and this team is not very good. It's that simple. They're old, they're slow, They lack any defensive capabilities whatsoever. They have chemistry issues on offense. You got a 5'9" point guard who thinks he's going to score 30 points a game with LeBron James on the team. It's not happening. Get rid of IT for one. The guy has to go, okay? If you want to progress, he's the first thing that you need to get rid of. And I don't mean that, like, I'm not a big fan of calling someone out, especially in a profession that I have no business being involved in. But I have the right to my opinion, and I think IT needs to go. Or if he's going to stay there, he has to move down from slot number 2 to slot number 3. When Kevin Love comes back, and who knows, maybe this is a good thing for them as far as letting IT get back into the groove of things. But the issue is, what happens when Kevin Love comes back? Is he going to slide into that third role easily? Or they're going to have the same issues that they're having now. And my guess is they are. Because you have a guy who's playing poorly in IT right now, and he still won't give up the ball. So you think when he's playing well, he's going to give it up? I don't know. And I don't know what people are looking at. And like I said, it could just be them being fans and not wanting to admit that things are worse than they are. That's very well possible. I don't know, but it's not looking good for the Cavs. I don't know. Really quickly on a couple other teams, the Thunder starting to play well. And a lot of this is media talk, but people swing so much in the media and sports overnight. It's like a week ago, everyone's talking about how the Thunder need to trade Paul George and start to figure out what they're going to do with that whole situation. And now they've won a couple of games in a row, and all of a sudden the question is, well, can they challenge Golden State? No, they can't challenge Golden State. No one can. Golden State is going to, you think they blitzed through the West last year. They are going to demolish every team this year, including Houston. If they happen to match up. They didn't match up last year. But Houston is not. Come on, man. Stop kidding yourself. Stop. Okay? Golden State they're like the Patriots of the NBA. But the difference is in the NFL, you have a better chance because it's win or go home. The NBA, you're not beating Golden State 4 times in 7 games. It's not happening. If they're healthy, you may as well not even show up. Okay? They're going to smoke everybody in the West this year, including the Rockets, including the Spurs, including the Thunder, and anyone else you want to put in that category. And if the Cavs happen to get to the finals, they're going to get smoked. If the Celtics get to the finals, they're going to get smoked. It doesn't matter. Okay? They're that good. But Houston, I'm not sold. Thunder, I'm definitely not sold. As far as them beating Golden State, let me put it that way. Now, if you take Golden State out of the equation, sure, you can go with any of those teams, in my opinion. But Golden State is the end-all, be-all, and the Cavs would be lucky to make it to the finals, given how they're playing. Obviously, we got a long ways to go, but as currently constructed and the way things have been going for the last month or two, I don't see it happening. I don't see them getting to the finals, not over the Celtics. And I know the Celtics have had a little slide as of late, but I've seen enough of them to know that they play the defensive numbers that they have, those are legit numbers, okay? Those aren't by accident. You don't get to where they are by accident. Brad Stevens is a great coach. Kyrie Irving is an underrated player still to me. I think there's some people that still view him as this mediocre guy without LeBron James. He's just a scorer, and I don't think that's the case. I think Kyrie Irving is a baller, and obviously Cleveland made a mistake by getting rid of him. LeBron James should have nurtured that situation a little more, in my opinion, just from the surface. I don't know all the inner workings of it, but on the surface it looked like he could have done a little bit more. Maybe the Cavs wouldn't be in this mess that they are in. But I don't think that the Cavs could beat the Celtics right now. I don't think they could. I mean, obviously no one from the Celtics can guard LeBron James, but who's going to guard Kyrie Irving? LeBron can't guard Kyrie Irving, especially not for the whole game. Like, could he handle him in a couple of spots here and there? Sure, I'm sure he could. But you can't put him on him for the entire game. And who else are they going to put on him? Because there's not – he's going to eat IT up. He's going to eat Derrick Rose up. He's going to eat everybody up on that team. They don't have a rim protector. I don't know what you guys are looking at, but be real with yourself, okay? Golden State is far and away the best team in the league. Cleveland would be lucky to make it to the finals. The Thunder are not going to challenge the Warriors. The Rockets are not going to challenge the Warriors. And the way the Spurs look right now, as far as Kawhi and all that goes, they're not going to challenge the Warriors. No one is going to challenge the Warriors. The Warriors are going to sweep their way to the finals, maybe lose a game or two to the Rockets, maybe a game to the Rockets and a game to the Spurs. But I think it's a complete no contest this year. They got a year under their belt, and after last year and the way they played unselfishly with 4 All-Stars, man, forget about it. Forget about it. And I guess that's it for today. I know I said a lot, but, you know, we'll just go with that. I've enjoyed watching the Lakers. I'm a Laker fan. Always have been, always will be. My teams are kind of scattered, for those of you that don't know, because my dad was in the military. Sports, to me, I was able to watch certain teams in certain places just based on where I lived. We didn't have a sports franchise close to us, so my teams are very scattered. I don't care what you think. The Lakers are my team. I'm a huge fan. They record-wise aren't good right now, but it's the first time in a long time that I've been enjoying watching them and seeing the progress that they're making, seeing all the stories surrounding them. Lonzo Ball, Kyle Kuzma looks good. Brandon Ingram looks like he could be a mid-level star, maybe an all-star at some point in his career. It's fun to watch. It's enjoyable to watch. It's watchable, which is good because the Lakers for a while weren't even watchable. So I do enjoy the fact that I could throw the Lakers on and give it a go. So yeah, we're gonna leave it there. I'm gonna have some more NBA stuff probably this weekend. Maybe I'll wait until after the Super Bowl. Who knows? If anything else major happens, I just wanted to talk about those things. Blake Griffin got traded to the Pistons. Lateral move, I get again for me. I don't see Blake Griffin as this all-time superstar or anything like that. I think he's great for putting butts in the seats, but that's about it. And I mean, I'd love to see him play, but is he going to take them to the promised land? No. Could they make some noise in the East? Maybe, given the state of the East. I don't know. Maybe they could win a couple of games or even a series, depending on who they get matched up against. But I don't think that's going to do anything for them. The Clippers got rid of that contract, got a couple of players, got a couple of draft picks, so we'll see what direction they head in. But keep in mind that they are the Clippers, so you never know with them. They're Cleveland Browns of the NBA, but with a better record. So, not that you've had Philly for the last couple of years, but Philly, it's not like Philly has this long history of just being this bad team. The Clippers do. Okay. Years and years and years, I think 40+ years or so of just meh basketball, and they're headed back in that direction. They've lost 2 of their superstars, possibly going to lose the 3rd in DeAndre Jordan. There's a chance he could be moved. Probably going to lose Doc Rivers at some point. They're a mess altogether. The NBA, for me, I think something needs to be changed. It's just, for me, I don't like it now. I can't follow all the teams because I have no invested interest in someone who doesn't have a chance. And, it's Golden State or bust, and I think it's Golden State. I don't think there's a single team in the NBA who could even sniff Golden State right now. So, with that being said, I'm going to leave it there. I've said enough. I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.